The biggest Minecraft Legends update is out now, this being version 1.18.1 something rather, depending on what version you're on. I'll be going through all the changes, so let's go ahead and get started. The Fearless Frog is a new mob that you can find in your campaign in Versus World, found along swamps and rivers. The frogs have a nice high jump. It has the highest jump of all mounts, and you can change the direction you've chosen to jump while in mid-air. Not only are these frogs nice and hoppy for you, but they can also swim around, making it faster travel in lakes and rivers. And when riding the frog, you take less fall damage. And there is a brand new bonus skin for the frog if you have the original deluxe edition. But now on to the air chopper, which is a giant fan that can blow you off from anywhere. This structure is able to rotate to try and blow you into opposite directions, making it more difficult to get into whatever bastion type you're trying to raid that might have this fan. But now back to a couple more new mobs, this one being the Witch. It spawns in these new houses that spawn naturally in villages in your main campaign. You have to get into a village and save it for the witches to be friends with you. Upon that, more will spawn in and you will be able to start controlling the witches. Or in Versus, you can go to them right away and have them start fighting for you. There is more custom settings to allow you to disable the witches, but we'll talk about those custom settings later. For the witch's attack, she throws potions at the enemies, allowing you to win the fight. Now, upon winning this raid upon the village, it will also unlock the Witch's Cauldron. Any of your troops inside this radius will get a buff of increasing their damage and knockbacks to their attacks. And even upon leaving the area, the effect will still last 25 seconds, lingering and helping out your team. And that gets us on to the last really exciting thing, which is a brand new piglin named the Clanger. This piglin will clang their looking like cymbals together to give an area effect that'll blast you away. They're fast moving and can be quite difficult, so... And a behind the scenes note, he's kind of camera shy. Getting him to be able to come out and play was a lot difficult than I thought. So if you are enjoying this so far, then you should clang the like button, because that would really help. Now, there's supposedly 10 new achievement trophies. I gotta be honest, I have no idea what those are, but good luck getting them if you're able to. And there's a hero select update. You are now able to sort heroes by rarity, with all, regular, the deluxe, and legendary, which, apparently Jens is pretty legendary. Thank you, McLee, for his awesome skin pack texture. That's how I've gotten my hound skin in the game. But with that, that's the end of quote-unquote new features and content, although there is a lot more features and a lot more content. So let's get into custom game options. When creating a custom game, the player's last save settings will be used for the next game, with campaign and versus having their own default settings per mode. Changes are communicated in the lobby for any settings changed. When a host changes the settings, it will appear in the lobby, and if the host closes their settings, it cancels their changes that is communicated to. But there is now a world seed given to a world by default. However, you can, when creating a brand new world, create any name or title or anything for any seed that you can possibly think up, creating your own unique world that you can have others be able to join. However, it does have to be in a number format. Unlike the vanilla base game of Minecraft, you cannot go with anything. It has to be 10 digits long and in number character. There is a new knockback section for resistance, rather if it's a mob, a piglin, or a player. You can now set player knockback high and player resistance high to increase the knockback of everything except the player. There are now hazard buffs. Water is lava replaces any water in the world with lava. The hazard damage increases the amount of damage you get from anything in the world, rather if it's a rose bush or other things that can kill you. And then the density of the hazard buffs is how often those hazards actually show up. You can now toggle how many allays the team starts with, and there are now allay chest yield and village chest yield for how much resources each contain. And upon spawning in towers, you can now automatically buff them as if there was a kaboomery or a masonry in the area, as well as tempering with how much a structure actually costs in your world. And you can choose what mobs can spawn naturally inside your world under the mounts, with the stable allowing all the mount types to spawn at your village well. You can now choose where witches and warriors spawn in, with them being unique to villages and not their own base, as well as individual towers that the player can start with are toggleable. And for anyone who liked the Lost Legends of the Llama, you can now increase the damage of a llama spit, as well as how many mobs spawn in the world. And for village raids, you can increase how tough the piglins are and how strong your village is. And for each bastion type, you can now change the personality, or what the base is like and what poses it has. And believe it or not, that was all custom settings, mainly just for the campaign. So on to some versus mode settings. Mirror World has the exact same world depending on what side you're on, so there's no disadvantages in things like resources and biomes. And you can change the versus modes to be either day or night only, kind of a miniature difficulty level in that. And for your player's headquarters, you can now change how tough it is, up to the point of making your structures around your headquarters unable to be damaged. And a damage escalation of 3 levels affecting different parts of your world. You can control your amount of Flames of Allegiance at the beginning, and your piglin aggression against both teams can be changed. And now on to general improvements. Of course, pathfinding and other things like that are always being improved. Not much to really notice as a player, but things have slightly been tweaked to make everything better. And some prices were reduced. Stone cost is reduced from 450 to 300, and iron reduced to 200 to 150. And some things are now placed upon you by default, like PvP hotbars have abundant LAs. And also another major win for PvP matches, you can now have a 2v2 instead of a 3v3, making you have to have less people to make a PvP game, and some smaller rounds if you want. Arrow towers can now shoot over walls, and scatter towers now shoot double the arrows as they did before. And that is also starting to get into some bug fixes, not of all of which I'll talk about because, hey, guess what? They weren't supposed to happen in the first place, and I'm guessing the average player didn't notice them. The links to the changelog are in the description, but I believe that I have gone over all the really fun and exciting and importanter things. If you did enjoy this, well, like I said in the middle, feel free to clang that like button. Really good to see some major updates happening to this lovely legendary game. I would maybe suggest you to tune in to the Legends of Minecraft podcast soon, where we will probably dive into some of these things and really talk about how it impacts the player. But this was the news as it is, and the update as legendary, like I said, as it was. So for now, I hope this is helpful. I hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.